Hey everybody, welcome back to Be the Bridge. This is our month in review for March 2025, where we take a deep dive into the latest policies shaping our world, especially those targeting marginalized communities. So this month, we're confronting executive order signed by President Trump on March 27th. It's called Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. And it's already stirring major controversy. Now, on its face, it promotes what you might call patriotic education. But if you peel back the layers, you'll find that this is more state sanctioned erasure, a push to rewrite history by silencing Black, Indigenous, Brown, and all other marginalized voices. So, what does this mean? Who's affected? And how do we fight back? Well, let's get into it. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Now, we know these words from Jesus, but Christ's freedom isn't the cheap liberty of comfortable lies. It's liberation from the myths that enslave us all. So let's break down what I would call this modern day Pharaoh's decree. Now, patriotic education is equivalent to teaching slavery as involuntary relocation. What they call divisive concepts is equivalent to banning lessons on things like redlining. What they call unity is more equivalent to erasing identity in order to project white fragility and even to overlook and erase the lives and the pain of those who have been marginalized and disenfranchised. Now, there's a very famous clip of President Trump saying, "We will teach children to love their country." Love. Sit with that word for a minute. Love? Love didn't stop the lynch mobs, right? Love didn't heal Emmett Till's broken body, and love won't unerase us now. Now, if we were to take a look back at the way that this order has ancestors, those ancestors are very telling. Go back to 1831 when Virginia outlawed teaching slaves how to read after Nat Turner's rebellion. 100 years later, the Daughters of the Confederacy rebranded lynching as racial integrity. Those same Daughters of the Confederacy wrote something called the Confederate Catechism that would rebrand and retell the history of the Civil War, not as having originated in slavery, but as having originated in something called the lost cause, the idea that this was rooted in states' rights. And so now in 2025, the method is still the same. They're trading some of these false narratives and trading hoods for taxpayer funded review panels. There's another clip that's going around of a school board member yelling, "We don't teach victimhood, victimhood," when they scrub Tulsa's ashes from textbooks, but keep red lines on the map. That's not history. That's a crime scene. This is no different than what COINTELPRO was back in the 60s. If you recall, COINTELPRO was something the FBI used to infiltrate civil rights organizations like SNCC in order to sabotage freedom schools. And now, here in 2025, we have what's called the Historical Review Panel that targets what they call unpatriotic professors. This sounds strikingly similar to the old director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, when he said, "Negro education must be controlled." So, what's the difference between then and now? Well, back then they wore wiretaps, and now they can wear patriotic educator badges. But the goal is the same, to make us forget who we are. Now, this is something that we should not be shocked by. This is something that we should almost expect. Why? Because as believers, as Christians, we know that Christian resistance has always been subversive restoration. So, what do we do? How do we become and embody subversive restorers? And I would submit to you three things. I would say that we are called to preserve, to proclaim, and to provoke. In order to preserve, it's similar to Jeremiah buying land in exile. That means that we preserve, we hold on to the things that are true that may be banned, things that we are precluded from saying in certain public spheres. We hold that now. Some of the curriculum right here on Be the Bridge and in the Be the Bridge Academy. Hold on to those things. Keep those, sometimes in some settings, maybe even hide those things. Take things like the 1619 Project. Hold and hide those things. Stream those things. Banned histories. I'd love to see situations where churches are teaching some of these histories with a gospel lens as a Sunday school class, finding ways to preserve the things that they're trying to erase. And then in doing so, we are proclaiming, like the apostles did before the Sanhedrin. That may mean whether it's through the power of social media, whether through it's the power of our platforms and the pulpit, whether it's what we wear to bring awareness. There are some people that will wear protest shirts with red line maps and Galatians 3:28 on them. I would also encourage we should be showing up at school boards, saying things like any nation that lies to its children crucifies its future. And then we provoke. We provoke like Jesus provoked in flipping the tables at the temple. That means that when there are things that are not right, we are calling on our elected officials. We're asking questions. We're holding them accountable. We're flooding municipalities. We're flooding police stations with Freedom of Information Acts and requests until their servers choke on the truth. Now, listen, this fight isn't just about textbooks. This is about who gets to tell the story of America. And if we let the truth be erased, marginal communities will once again be written out of their own history. But remember, they weren't able to silence Nat Turner's Bible. They couldn't burn all of the manuscripts, and they won't silence us now. So what do you think? How do we push back? We would encourage you, DM us your stories of resistance. Comment with some of your survival tactics. Teach one true thing that you know they want erased. Keep the conversation going. Stay informed. And when people ask, why do we keep talking about this? When people ask, why do we keep going back to this? When people ask, why do we keep wanting to remember this? The answer is always the same. Our ancestors didn't forget it. God doesn't forget it, so we won't either. Thank you for your time. Please share, comment, and as always, until next time, we pray God's peace and blessings on you. Thank you.